All right, diving right in, folks. You guys sent us a ton of stuff on Eddie Murphy,
Yeah, it seems like everyone is fascinated by him and the Enneagram,
specifically Type 7.
the sexual seven subtype, to be exact.
Okay, so we're talking personality and comedy today.
And honestly, who better than Eddie Murphy?
Right. I mean, one of the most electrifying performers ever.
Mhm.
I think for our listener, though, we need to back up a sec.
Oh, yeah, good point. Not everyone's an Enneagram expert.
Right. So we know the sexual 7 wants to, like, experience it all, right? Every thrill, avoid any pain.
Seeking constant stimulation is a big one.
And that's where Eddie Murphy's work gets really interesting, especially his comedy. What I'm seeing in these sources is, well, how do we even explain that energy?
It's electric. Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is in that incredible verbal agility, that rapid-fire wit.
Like a force of nature,
Yeah.
almost. You know, it's not just about being funny, though.
Oh, absolutely.
It's deeper than that. It's like he's using humor as a shield.
To deflect from the stuff that a sexual 7 might find threatening.
Exactly. Those deeper, more vulnerable emotions.
One of the articles you sent, I think it actually uses the term verbal incontinence.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's almost like he cannot stand a single moment of silence.
He has to fill it. Yeah.
With words, jokes, anything. And I think this points to something really crucial about the sexual 7.
What's that?
It's not just a love of excitement. It's a fear of the opposite,
Ah, I see. A fear of stillness.
of introspection.
Anything that might lead to those uncomfortable feelings they're so good at dodging.
Okay, so that brings us to grandiosity.
Yeah.
That's a big one with this subtext.
Huge. And you see it so clearly in Eddie Murphy's characters.
Right. They're larger than life, outrageous personalities. They just dominate the screen. Is this just Eddie being funny?
Well, I mean, he is hilarious. But there's definitely something deeper going on. Think about the characters. Axel Foley,
Oh, yeah, love him.
the multiple personalities in The Nutty Professor, even Prince Akeem in Coming to America.
All these iconic roles.
And they all have this, I don't know, this undeniable magnetism, you know?
It's like they need to be the center of attention.
They need to be seen as exceptional.
I've been thinking about this, though. And it's not just about being loud or boisterous, right?
Right.
There's a certain, I don't know, a cleverness, a cunning even, that seems to be a part of this grandiosity. It's like he's not just saying, look at me, it's look at me. I'm brilliant. I can outsmart anyone.
Oh, that's so interesting. And it actually ties into what Claudio Naranjo, the Enneagram expert, calls the trickster archetype, often associated with the sexual 7.
Ah, okay.
These are people who use their wit, their charm, their intelligence, all of it to navigate the world, often bending the rules to get what they want.
The ultimate charming rogue.
Exactly.
And you see this roguish quality in so many of Eddie Murphy's roles. Billy Ray Valentine in Trading Places, outsmarting the whole establishment. And of course, Axel Foley, again, manipulating every situation to his advantage.
It's brilliant.
I mean, they're not just funny characters. It's like they embody that sexual 7 desire to be in control, to control the narrative, to come out on top.
And it's that desire for control, that fear of being trapped or limited that I think fuels another big part of the sexual 7.
What's that?
Their constant need for transformation, for reinvention.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about all the characters who undergo these radical transformations, like Sherman Klump becoming Buddy Love in The Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
It's not just physical.
Not at all.
It's a total personality shift. Like he's trying on different identities.
See which one fits.
See which one works, yeah.
It's almost like standing still equals death for the sexual 7.
Wow.
They crave the novelty, the fresh experiences, the freedom to be anyone.
So avoid pain, seek stimulation, constantly reinvent yourself. How does all of this come together in someone like Eddie Murphy?
That's the real question, right? And what I find so compelling is that he doesn't just embody these traits, he uses them.
Or make us laugh.
Yes.
Yes.
To create comedy that resonates with millions of people.
Yeah.
It's like he's tapped into something universal, something about wanting to escape, to reinvent ourselves.
It's like he's saying, life doesn't have to be serious. We can be playful. We can crave adventure.
And still achieve incredible things.
But then he does it all with this infectious energy and humor that makes you feel like you're in on the joke part of the adventure.
Totally.
It does make you wonder, though, does all that humor, all that energy ever serve as a mask? Is there a vulnerability underneath it all?
That's a really great question, and one we should definitely explore further. Because while the sexual 7 might be known for being outwardly exuberant, There's often this deep-seated fear of emotional pain that they're constantly.
Running from.
Yeah. So it's not just about escaping pain, is it? It's more than that.
Right. It's almost like there's this tension between the outward exuberance and this potential inner vulnerability.
Mm.
And thinking about all those transformative journeys that so many of Eddie Murphy's characters go through.
Oh, yeah. Those are fascinating.
Is that another part of it, like a fear of stagnation?
Absolutely. The sexual seven isn't just seeking out external stimulation. It's also about that constant pursuit of self-discovery, pushing the boundaries of, like, identity.
Oh, interesting.
They're terrified of being defined, boxed in, so they're always searching for new ways to express themselves.
Okay, so this is like that classic sexual seven dilemma, right? Wanting to experience everything life has to offer, but also kind of fearing the depth of any single experience.
Exactly. And that's where those fantastical worlds that Eddie Murphy creates become so relevant.
Right.
They offer an escape from the limitations of reality, a playground where he can explore every part of his personality without any real consequences.
I mean, think about the Nutty Professor, right?
Perfect example.
Sherman Klump transforming into Buddy Love. It's not just a physical change.
It's way more than that.
It's like a complete personality shift, almost like he's trying on these different identities to see.
Which one fits?
Yeah, which one works, which one feels right in that moment.
And Coming to America, we can't forget that one.
Oh, such a classic.
Prince Akeem leaves that pampered life to find real love in, of all places, Queens.
Right.
It's a classic fish-out-of-water story, but it also speaks to that yearning for authenticity.
That the sexual seven has.
Yeah, that need for something raw and real, even if it's uncomfortable.
Even if it's a little scary, it's like he's saying, hey, look, I can be anyone. I can be anything. I'm going to show you all the possibilities.
That's the allure of Eddie Murphy, right?
Totally.
He's not just a comedian. He's a chameleon, this master of reinvention. He makes you want to embrace that part of yourself.
Your own multiplicity.
Exactly.
But wouldn't you say there's a vulnerability inherent in all that shape-shifting?
Oh, absolutely.
That need to please, to be admired by everyone, to never show any weakness? That's got to be tough.
It's a real paradox. On one hand, they crave validation. They need to be the center of attention. But on the other, it can be exhausting, all that performing.
Leaving them feeling empty, maybe?
Yeah, unfulfilled, not really seen for who they are. You know, it makes me think of something you mentioned earlier. About Eddie Murphy's comedy, I mean.
Well, what's that?
That auto-referencing he does.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He constantly brings up his own life, his experience, his relationships, even his own celebrity.
It's all material.
Right. But is that like another example of the sexual seven needing to be at the center of things?
It's a great connection. By constantly putting himself in the joke, he's basically reinforcing his own centrality. Like, my life is interesting, my experiences matter, and I'm the one telling this story. But there's also that self-deprecating humor.
Right. He's willing to poke fun at himself.
Which I think is where we start to see the potential for growth in the sexual seven. As they mature, they start to realize that connection comes from authenticity, from letting go of that need to always be on, you know?
Letting people see the real you.
Flaws and all.
So it's not just about running away from pain. It's about learning how to integrate those darker emotions.
Exactly. Those vulnerabilities, those things we try to hide, those are all part of a whole person.
A whole complex person, yeah. And that's such a powerful message for someone like Eddie Murphy to be sending out.
Oh, totally. I mean, think about it. He's built his entire career on making people laugh, but he's also showing us it's okay to be playful, to embrace that silly side, that desire to be, like, larger than life.
But also to acknowledge when things are tough.
Yeah, those moments of darkness, those times when you don't have all the answers. He's showing us that even the most exuberant personality, you know, those life of the party types, they have their struggles too.
Their fears, their doubts.
Everyone does.
It really is amazing when you think about it, just how much we can learn about ourselves and other people when we really start to delve into the Enneagram.
It's like it gives you this, I don't know, this incredible tool to unlock those mysteries of what makes people tick.
Those motivations that we all have.
Totally. And the exciting thing is it's not about putting people in boxes, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
It's about understanding. You know, understanding those deeper fears and desires that drive all our behavior.
And then using that knowledge to grow, to evolve.
Exactly.
So for our listener out there who sent us all this amazing material on Eddie Murphy and the sexual seven, like, what's the big takeaway here? How can they apply this to their own life?
Well, I think the most important thing is self-awareness.
Right. Being able to see yourself clearly.
Right. So recognizing those sexual seven tendencies, that need for constant stimulation,
The fear of boredom.
avoiding discomfort, yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Once you see it, then you can start making conscious choices.
About how you want to show up in the world.
Exactly.
So it's not about suppressing those impulses,
Yeah.
but maybe more about channeling them in a way that, really serves you.
Exactly. That energy, the enthusiasm, that drive to try new things,
Those are all amazing strengths.
they are. But finding that balance, that's key. Recognizing those times when those impulses might be leading you away from something deeper.
We talked earlier about humor being a shield for the sexual seven. Is there a way to develop a healthier relationship with being vulnerable?
Oh, absolutely. It starts with recognizing those moments when you're using humor to deflect.
To avoid those deeper conversations
Right.
or emotions?
Right. Instead of running from those uncomfortable feelings, what if you tried leaning in?
Ooh, that's scary.
I know, right? But try exploring those feelings. Even if they feel a little scary at first, it's like what we were talking about with Eddie Murphy's character.
That depth beneath the surface.
There's so much there. And it makes you wonder, what if he let himself be truly vulnerable on screen? Like really vulnerable.
Oh, man, that's such an interesting thought. I mean, can you imagine the comedic potential there? A character who fully embraces their flaws, who isn't afraid to show those insecurities.
It would be a whole new level of humor, something much deeper, more real.
It would be revolutionary, honestly. It would be like saying, hey, it's okay to not be okay. We can still find joy, even in those moments of vulnerability.
And that's a message that I think we all need to hear, especially in today's world.
With all the pressure to be perfect.
Right. We're bombarded with images of success and perfection. It's easy to forget that everyone struggles, everyone has those moments of self-doubt, everyone has fears.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Eddie Murphy and the Sexual Seven, is there like one piece of advice you'd give to our listener or anyone who's feeling that pull towards constant stimulation, that fear of missing out?
I would say embrace that adventurous spirit, embrace that desire to experience everything. But remember, true fulfillment, that deep sense of satisfaction,
It comes from somewhere else.
it comes from within. Cultivating that deep connection with yourself, your heart, your mind, that's where it starts. Don't be afraid to explore those emotions, the light and the shadow.
That's where the real magic is.
That's where the magic is, the richness, the depth, all of it. That's what makes life so incredible.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a reminder that this whole journey of self-discovery, it's an ongoing adventure, isn't it? And that the Enneagram is an amazing tool to help us along the way.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights today.
It was my pleasure.
This has been a truly illuminating deep dive. And to our listener, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, keep diving deep into the mysteries of yourself and the world around you.
There's always something new to discover.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic and another chance to learn and grow together. Until then, happy exploring.